When an adult has attachment disorder, we've got years of reacting and thinking in a certain way, and they're more difficult to work with the older they are. But there are attachment disorder adults that are healthy now because they've had the courage to face what they needed to go through. I went to a workshop on couple holding by Dr. Martha Welsh. And when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't think so. And they had called ahead of time and asked if my husband and I would be demonstrators for this big seminar in this hotel, with hundreds of people in the audience. I said, my husband and I to deal with our personal issues in front of a live audience? No, thank you for asking, but I don't think so. So I didn't, and when I went, there were couples that had volunteered, and I thought, well, they're just weird. And the guy came in with a pitcher of water, the waiter was refilling the water and different things, and it was like, oh, this is weird, all these people laying on the floor dealing with big feelings. It was strange. I thought, well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let my husband hold me. That's weird. But then I saw one of the couples that had volunteered. Later on, we were having a couples retreat. It was a couple months later. And they were walking along holding hands, looking in each other's eyes like honeymooners, And I said, whoa, what's up with those guys? Because they had been a couple, he would stick his fingers in her mashed potatoes when we had a potluck dinner to see if it was hot enough for her. Just embarrassing stuff like that. And she was always just, oh my gosh. And I thought, oh, those two aren't going to make it. Here they are, like honeymooners. I said, ooh, I want that. I remember when my cowboy and I were like honeymooners. So after a while, watching him throughout the weekend, I finally went to her. I said, so what are you guys doing that's different? I want to know, I want the answer. I want to get back to how we were, because we'd been married for over 20 years at that point. You get to be good business partners, but the mush is gone, So she said, well, we do those couple holdings. I said, you do couple holdings on purpose? And she said, oh, yeah, I love them. I thought, well, she's just weird. She's just weird, because normal people would not. Well, then I thought about it. I had trust issues. Not from my husband, he's never hurt me, but my past. And I had put those trust issues between my husband and I, and it was wrong. So I went to my cowboy, and I couldn't say, I don't trust you, I need to work this through, because I didn't want to hurt him. So I said, I'd like to try this thing. It's called a couple holding, and it goes like this, and he's like, what? My husband is very logical. He was an engineer for 32 years, very logical. This is not logic, this is pure emotion. I said, I'd really like to try this. He said, it sounds really weird to me. I said, yep, it's weird, but I want to try it. So he said, well, I'll think about it. And I thought, oh, he's going to say no way. And he thought about it. He said, I've been thinking about that couple holding thing you wanted to try. He said, I think that'll be a good thing. He said, so I called the therapist to come out and help us in case you go crazy. Oh, thanks a lot, dear. Appreciate that. In case I go crazy, I thought, ooh, maybe I better work on some issues, So the therapist came out, and I was down on the floor, and my husband's face is right here. Now, we have been close. We have birthed children, okay? My husband's face is right here. I couldn't make eye contact. I'm changing subject. And then feelings started coming out that I thought I had gotten over years ago. Just stuff that he had said, things that had happened. Happens in every relationship, and I thought I'd gotten over it. Nope, came right out. I was still angry from stuff that he had said and done years before, and it was between us. And at one point, I was sharing with him that I was really afraid because our daughter was leaving home. Our oldest daughter was going off to college, and oh gosh, I was just going to miss her so bad, and I was afraid for her out in the world and scary stuff that goes on when they put junk in your drink and then you don't know what you're doing if you leave your Coke and go to the bathroom, or just heartbreak that she was going to have to face out in the world. And I was also afraid of the heartbreak I was going to have because I would miss her so much, and we were so bonded and so close. So I was really in pain. I had tears running down my face. And I looked into my cowboy's eyes. He had tears running down his face. I had never seen the man cry in 20 years. His father died, and he loved his father very much. He was a great man. No tears. And here's tears running down his face. And I immediately thought, he must be in physical pain because he doesn't have feelings. How sad for Rude. Spock, my husband, engineer, And I said, what is it? Am I hurting you? And he said, I'm going to miss her too. Whoa. Our hearts went together like that. He understood my pain, my feelings on a deeper level than anybody had ever understood me. I saw a completely different man than I had been married to all these years. And I never wanted him to let me go. I felt so safe and so loved and so understood. It was fantastic. I read about the American eagles. Did you ever read about the bald eagles? Oh, they are amazing creatures. You know, when the father eagle wants to, finds a lady eagle he wants to mate with, he kind of walks. Wouldn't you think they'd spread their wings and say, look at this wing spread, watch how I can fly. Wouldn't you think they'd really show up? No, he struts. They look kind of like a duck when they're walking, this most magnificent bird, and then she says, oh, baby, So the two of them fly to the top of the sky. They have been seen at over 15,000 feet, because one of them dropped a salmon on a Delta airliner and cracked the windshield, okay? So the altitude was documented, okay? So over 15,000 feet, these birds fly to the top of the sky. He has talons that are like razor blades he can rip flesh with, okay? He opens his talons over 15,000 feet up, grabs her talons with his talons with causing no harm, wraps his wings around her wings, and they free fall from the top of the sky to the top of the trees, over 200 miles an hour, okay? Then he lets go, they fly right back up. We're talking total trust here, total trust. Then she takes her talons, does the same thing, wraps his talons in hers, opens her wings around his, closing his inside. He's completely helpless. And they free fall again together to the top of the trees, let go, fly back up, and they mate. And they stay together for life. When we trust someone in our relationship, whether it's our mother, our spouse, we have that freedom to fly as high as we're meant to go. And it is such a freeing feeling from that trust. I can't trust you all the way. I can't open up. I have to hold back a certain amount. My husband and I have been married, this is our 30th year. And the only problem with being bonded so closely to somebody is when you're separate, you have physical pain because you ache for them. I have to call my cowboy every night because I miss him because he's a hunk, And that couple holding is fantastic. If the adult who has attachment disorder has someone who loves them enough to go to therapy and do the couple holding with them, whether it's their mother or a spouse, they can heal. They just have to have the courage to face that fear. And once they do, sky's the limit.